So great to be with you on NBL Now. It is our Thursday morning edition. Not only have we got a stack of bumper games to be talking about across round 12, but a couple of big stories developing as well. Lots to get through. I know I say that a lot, but there is a lot to get through. I'm Jack Heverin. Derrick Rucker joins me this morning. We're going to be together tonight in Brisbane. Ruck, good morning to you.
Looking forward to it. And it's a big one. Southeast Melbourne and Brisbane, two teams that are playing well of late. And I think trying to kind of establish themselves in the league. And it's a fight for credibility more than anything else.
We're going to get to that game very, very shortly. You can see that game, of course, tonight from 7:30 p.m. Thought it was worth us starting with the Bryce Cotton contract situation for your take on things, but also, I mean, it's worth in all of this not losing what Bryce is doing on the court, but you know, his future, which is hopefully somewhere in this league, is a massive story until we get a resolution.
It is. And it's rare that we get these big contract negotiation talks because one thing about the NBL for decades, there hasn't been a lot of transparency in terms of how these processes work. So I'm actually kind of excited to see how this manifests. And of course, as the league grows in popularity, the numbers grow, Jack. And when the numbers grow, when we start talking seven figures, that starts getting the public's opinion. It starts getting their interest. And it's all stuff that we love. We love the dialogue about what's happening with Bryce Cotton.
So Perth's owner, Mark Arena, spoke on Tuesday to the West Australian. We spoke about it on Overtime on Tuesday night as well, saying that they believe the offer will compensate Bryce appropriately and pay him as the best player in the league. He hasn't signed it, though.
No, he hasn't. And he's being smart. And right now, whatever that offer was, when they made it a couple of months ago or a few months ago, whenever it occurred, well, it's irrelevant now. As I said last week, Bryce is a seven-figure guy. Now you can add about whatever that number was in the seven figures based on what we've seen the past couple of rounds. Jack, there's a commission now of 22.5%. Pump it up because the guy is worth way more. 49.3 over the past three. I've been scouring my brain trying to find a better run in the modern NBL, and it just doesn't exist.
And I still maintain this, Ruck, that, I mean, yes, I'm sure Bryce would love to stay in Perth, and that's where they want to raise a family and all that sort of stuff. I still maintain, though, that there will be teams in this league who have the capability to make a power move, who have the capability to look at Bryce Cotton and pay Bryce what he wants, plus whatever terms that go with it, and make him their marquee guy if Perth can't get it done.
And I'm sure that's a possibility and a probability, but I'm a romantic in these terms, and I like to see guys stay with the one team. And that was always something that I sought after as a pro. It didn't materialize. And I just feel you lose a little bit of your basketball wholesome, a little bit of your soul when you start chopping and changing teams. Now, certainly the money compensates for that loss of soul, but it would be great to see Bryce stay with the Perth Wildcats for the rest of his career.
And as we say, the contract is one thing. What he's doing on the court is another. But they are both very, very big stories right now. To tonight's game, as we mentioned, you and I will both be at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre for the Bullets and Southeast Melbourne. Andrew Bogut to join us in commentary for that game. We won't see Derrick Walton Jr. for the Phoenix, but we will see him on Sunday in the Throwdown.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I was really looking forward to seeing Derrick Walton Jr. perform tonight in a big game. But, Jack, Nathan Sobey returning to Brisbane and all the stories that go with it. We know what happened where he sought a release or the Bullets kind of finessed a release. Whatever happened there, it wound up that the parties split company. And that's fine. I thought it was the right move for both of them. But we know how Nathan Sobey gets down, and he plays with a lot of animus, and he's going to be out to prove a point. And Brisbane are one of the better defensive teams in the competition. I've said it before. I'm not sure they have anyone that can check Sobey, provided he's playing well. Now, that's just one piece of the whole plot. These are two teams that are playing really well right now. Josh King has transformed Southeast Melbourne on the defensive end. Brisbane, who purportedly want to be a good defensive team, are now one of the better offensive teams, putting 102 on Melbourne United last Sunday in what was just a spectacular performance. I'm so excited, as you can tell, for this big one tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait for this one as well. I think we're going to learn a lot about both of these teams. I think one thing we know with Nathan Sobey, Derek, is he's going to get them up tonight. So it's a question of whether Nathan Sobey goes 4 of 15 or he goes 10 of 15.
And it's a tough one, right? Because when you go back and play for a team like this, play against a team that you play for, you never know what's the crowd interactions going to be like. He has a lot of friends and acquaintances up here. And sometimes those people you think are your friends, you can look over at them during your return game and they're booing you. And it's like, what? Sometimes that's a bit of a shock to the system, but I'm sure Nathan has a lot of fans here in Queensland that are really looking forward to seeing him play tonight.
So before we get to air tonight with Brisbane and Southeast Melbourne, we've got the New Zealand Breakers playing host to the Tasmania Jack Jumpers. Now the Breakers, they just need something to go right for them at the moment. They got some bad news during the week with Dane Pineau and a knee injury, so he won't be out there for a little while. But fingers crossed for the Breakers, Jonah Bolden should return tonight.
Yeah, they might get Bolden back in the lineup, and that would be a huge addition, although I'm not sure how effective he would be in his first game back. But I've got bad news for the unbreakable Breakers fans. You're not winning tonight. You're not. Tasmania are going to grind you guys down. I don't like the spirit of the Breakers right now. I was so impressed with what they were doing in the first 7, 8, 9 rounds. But, Jack, they need to lift, and they need a spectacular performance. And I don't think the way the Jack Jumpers are performing at the moment, I don't think it's going to be possible for the Breakers to get it done against that defensive lineup.
It has to be more than just PJC, doesn't it? I mean, PJC's been phenomenal, but he's doing all that he can. Where else can they get enough points to win a game from?
Well, we talked about it last week, and Mooney's got to lift. Mojave King has got to lift. They need some other guys that were providing efficient scoring earlier in the season to refine that status. And obviously, Jack, they had the injuries. We know about all of that. But right now, their backs are up against the wall, and they're on a slippery slope. They're on a very, very slippery slope. And if they don't stop the fall, well, they could be headed out of the top 6 very quickly.
So that's your Thursday night fix. I feel very fortunate that I've got 2 of the best games of the round in commentary this weekend because I'm coming back to Melbourne on Friday night for Melbourne and Illawarra. Now, this is a very rare Friday night match in Melbourne. They don't often play these sorts of matches. And Tyler Harvey spoke to the Illawarra Mercury yesterday and said, we're not underdogs in this game.
Well, I've got big-time FOMO, Jack. I won't be there for that one. And you know I love calling games in John Cain Arena. And 2 outstanding teams, but only heightened by the fact that Melbourne United lost that game against Brisbane. So Dean Vickerman is going to have them supercharged up. We know Melbourne United rarely lose 2 games in a row. But Illawarra rightfully could feel, Jack, that they're the best team in the competition. And I'm really looking forward to it. Outstanding matchups right across the floor. I would say the margin of victory either way will be no greater than 4 points.
No Chris Goulding again for Melbourne tomorrow night. To be honest, Rucker, I like the Hawks tomorrow night. If you were asking me and holding a gun to my head to predict a winner tomorrow night, I'd probably say Illawarra.
Well, Sam Froling is a key in this game, Jack, and we see that he performs very well against Melbourne United. Rob Lowe's been in outstanding form, so that's going to be a really, really good matchup. But I think the one to watch, Darius Days is slowly starting to find his way in the league and be the impact guy that we had probably expected him to be earlier in the season. But his matchup against Jack White, that's a great one. And Jack White is playing an outstanding form. I think right now he's a first-team All-NBL guy. Darius Days needs to show that he is a high-level performer by dominating that matchup or at least getting the better of Jack White.
Let's finish off with the Adelaide 36ers. And the big news for them is Montrezl Harrell will be back on Saturday. You can be guaranteed, now that they've got Kendrick Davis back, Trez comes back into this lineup for Saturday's game as well. Adelaide Entertainment Centre will be pumping on Saturday, Ruck.
There's going to be a lot of energy there, and I'm looking forward to it. It's amazing how quickly we've all established this relationship with Montrezl Harrell and the impact that he's had on the league. I think this will be one of the most anticipated games of the season, his comeback. And Adelaide, as I said earlier in the week, they need to start winning games right now because the slide has been rapid. And defensively, they got to pick it up. But Montrezl is going to be a big key in helping them win games. Jack, I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a 3, 4, or maybe even a 5 out of 7 type winning streak now.
They need to.
Yeah, they do. You're right, because as we start getting into the holiday season, games come quick and fast. And all of a sudden, if you're slipping up during the holiday season, taking your eye off the ball, focusing on Santa Claus, focusing on barbecues, you can catch some L's in a rush and your season's a wrap.
There's a little snapshot into what Derrick Rucker is thinking about this Christmas time as well. Santa and barbecues. Speaking of barbecues, Ruck, put the barbecue on at your place. I'll be up there in a few hours.
Can't wait to see you, Jack.
Thanks for joining us on NBL Now. Don't forget, of course, the Breakers and Tasmania first up tonight, and then the Bullets and South East Melbourne. We'll break it all down tomorrow on NBL Now.